Yeah, baby.
She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
This is when the wheels fall off.
You're not.
Jasmine Crockett assumed she would shut down when she strode into the spotlight. The room with attitude and eyeliner. But Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly entered like a wrecking crew with facts, jokes, and no patience. Gutfeld scolded her so severely that the fire department ought to have been called, and Megyn broke down her reasoning like a bad courtroom drama. Let's just say that Jasmine brought sass to a chess match and was checkmated on live television.
That's what she does. She puts out this video of her acting in a certain way, and that's how she fundraises.
Mm-hmm. We actually did a bit of a deep dive on her after my old colleague from Fox News, Todd Starnes, posted something on X not long ago, Walter. He posted the following. Jasmine Crockett wants you to think she's from the hood, that she grew up on the streets. The exact opposite is true. She attended an exclusive day school where tuition is nearly $35,000 a year. She also attended Rhodes College, a private school where tuition is nearly $55,000 a year. She's cosplaying a gangsta. So we looked up her background. She was born in St. Louis. She's 43. Her dad was a Baptist pastor and a teacher. Her mother worked in a post office. She graduated from Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School, one of the most expensive private schools in the city. Indeed, the current tuition, $35,000.
If TikTok outbursts and Twitter clapbacks were a legislative skill set, Jasmine Crockett would already be Speaker of the House Majority Leader and possibly even moonlighting as Secretary of SAS. However, for Jasmine, real politics is more than posing theatrically during committee hearings and mastering the art of the side eye. She entered the political arena as if she had just landed from a Bravo reality show spin-off. And no one asked for somewhere between a courtroom and a confessional booth.
Jasmine Crockett's got another hot take. No blacks and whites on a wedding cake. The Democrats' new chosen one, Jasmine Crockett, is in the news again for an old clip where she attacked Florida Rep. Byron Donalds for marrying a white woman. Roll it, Bertha.
The fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow? Is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you?
That's not very woke.
Enter now. Media personalities, Megyn Kelly and Gutfeld. People don't require emojis or mood lighting to be successful. They came to roast, not to play, and not in the adorable marshmallow by the fire sense. Jasmine Crockett unintentionally appeared at a Shark Tank job interview dressed like a competitor from the RuPaul's Drag Race Filibuster edition. It was a verbal demolition derby without podiums, thank you notes, or spinning red buzzers. And Jasmine brought a tricycle to a monster truck rally.
Speaking of leftist hypocrisy and cluelessness, Jasmine Crockett is a rising star amongst the far-left progressives in this country. She's a representative from Houston, Texas, of all places, which makes no sense because she seems to be far too left for Houston, but apparently not because they elected her. It must be like, Orange County in California being like the one outlier in an otherwise uniformly covered, state, like all red with the one blue, all blue with the one red. Okay, so Jasmine Crockett got up at a Los Angeles dinner this past Saturday, and it was hosted by, this is perfect, the human rights.
In the meantime, Megyn Kelly acted as if the principal had been called to supervise a food fight in the cafeteria. And Jasmine was the child, throwing mashed potatoes without realizing the cafeteria camera was recording in 4K. Let's face it, Gutfeld has the energy of a sardonic raccoon, has read every chapter of the Constitution, and has turned sarcasm into a political weapon.
That was 3 years ago. The ones of her just sounding like a normal person talking. 3 years, it's not like that was 20 years, but then she moved to Mississippi for all that time. That was 3 years ago. She sounded like a totally normal person. It's only now she's got her accent and she's going to kick everybody's ass. It's such an affectation.
Crockett is the congressional representative and her entire political image depends on aesthetic fury. The equivalent of decorating a lawsuit with glitter, she seemed to forget that governing calls for more than just dramatic pauses and glares fit for a viral video. Sure, it's loud and sparkly, but that doesn't change the fact that underneath all that glam is a giant nothing burger with extra sass on the side. Her performance wasn't legislative discourse. Rather, it was cosplay somewhere between "I'm reclaiming my time" and "Can I finish my sentence?"
Is she making any point there?
Like this makes me wish my mom made different father choices.
Greg didn't even need to raise his voice. A few dry remarks, and Crockett's argument crumbled like a cheap suit from a donor clearance rack. He treated her talking points like expired coupons, void, irrelevant, and not valid in serious discourse. Every time Crockett geared up for what she clearly thought was a mic drop moment, Greg barely blinked. That's not apathy, it's elite level unimpressed. The kind where you could finish a Sudoku mid-rant and still roast your opponent before they land their closing sentence. Then, there's Megyn Kelly. She doesn't command the room, she recalibrates it, while Jasmine Crockett was busy auditioning for a congressional reboot of Mean Girls. Megyn came armed with timelines, receipts, and a talent for verbal dissection so sharp it ought to be registered as a weapon. She didn't need volume, precision. At one point, she took apart Crockett's legislative record like a high school biology project, scalpel out, frog's blade, nothing to hide. Spoiler, there wasn't much to examine. Crockett's track record reads like a failed group project where she showed up late, added emojis to the PowerPoint, and still claimed she carried the team. This wasn't a debate. No one had to wait their turn. But if it were, Megyn would have walked away with the trophy and Crockett wouldn't have made it past the first round.
So this is funny. Jasmine Crockett sits on the Judiciary Committee, and about a month ago, Walter, I testified.
Yes,
before the
we saw
Judiciary
this.
Committee. Yeah, and the hearings, the full committee hearings, are quite long. You can be there for over 4 hours. So, and they let the most junior members ask questions last. So I had to sit for quite a long time. And then at the very end, Jasmine Crockett, who I had never heard before, suddenly started screaming at me and Michael Schellenberger. And when you're a witness in Congress, you have to pay attention to what everybody says, because you never know when you're going to be asked an actual question and allowed to, maybe even allowed to speak. But I could not understand what she was saying. She was moving from one thing to another, and she was doing all that code switching stuff with the y'alls and y'all eyeing on this. And
Meanwhile, Gutfeld cut to the uncomfortable truth. Crockett doesn't do policy, she does performances. Her brand is built on the illusion of resistance finger, snaps, eye rolls, and Instagram-ready captions. It's not that she lacks intelligence, it's that she trades honesty for optics, especially when the cameras are rolling and the hashtags are hot. What Crockett needs isn't a debate, it's a PR manager and maybe a legislative mentor. Someone to explain that Congress isn't an improv comedy club with a dress code. At one point, she launched into a predictable soundbite about fighting for the people, and Gutfeld didn't even bother responding. He just paused, smirked, and let the silence do the talking like a spotlight on a mime with no act. That's how you destroy someone without even raising your voice. And Megyn, she didn't flinch. That kind of stone-faced composure only comes from someone who's weathered 5 election cycles and outlived more media drama than a real housewife on her 6th divorce. Crockett's fans call her bold. Sure, in the same way yelling at a drive-thru speaker is bold. Loud doesn't mean right. Volume doesn't equal virtue. While Jasmine turned every appearance into a GIF-worthy tantrum, Greg and Megyn delivered a clinic in calm, calculated dismantling, the kind of surgical takedown that should be studied in Political Survival 101. How not to embarrass yourself while trying to sound smart.
Woman, I've had about enough of her. She wants to be like a member of the squad. She thinks of herself like an AOC. She talks like, she's from the hood. Meanwhile, she grew up in a nice family. She didn't talk like this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, she sounded like you and I sound in this conversation. Like, I'm really excited to be going to Congress. I can't wait to get started on my new job. And now she's like, we need to smack him in the head.
We know that we work for the American people, and what we not gonna do is stand around while they pull this that they trying to pull right now.
Like, what What do you, we have videotape. Why are you talking like that? No one believes this bullshit. And now she's graduated to acting like a thug. So congratulations. Your term in the U.S. Congress is going really well.
That was a great impression.
She dropped empty buzzwords like confetti on New Year's Eve, hoping one might land, but this wasn't Times Square. It was a political roast, and Crockett was the turkey. Her entire defense strategy seemed to revolve around eye rolls, so aggressive, she risked pulling a muscle. Meanwhile, Megyn calmly referenced actual bills, voting records, and reality. A realm Crockett clearly hasn't visited since her last viral tweet. It wasn't even a contest. Crockett came armed with vibes. Gutfeld and Kelly came armed with footnotes. There's something almost poetic about the gap between Crockett's self-perception and her real-world impact. She imagines herself delivering political gospel from Mount Olympus when, in reality, she's barely operating above Twitter thread theatrics. After that flaming wreck of a performance, you'd think Jasmine might take a breath. Maybe crack open a civics textbook, or dare we, dream read an actual bill, but no, she doubled down, like someone who just found out Uno cards don't count in court and still insisted on playing them in Congress. Reverse, skip, draw for, except Greg and Megyn weren't playing games. They were serving reality checks and Jasmine's bounced harder than one of her broken campaign promises.
Share your boxcar with people of color?
I do.
Yeah.
My boxcar does not know race, does not know gender. It is a welcome space
That is so
where only
beautiful.
deodorant is not welcome. I like this Jasmine Crockett lady, right?
It's a great name, isn't it, for a villain?
Yeah, Jasmine, yeah.
Yeah.
And Crockett is the whitest last name you could ever have.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there.
Sonny Crockett, Miami Vice.
Yes?
It's like the whole thing is like, because I've seen her, she's very well spoken, and then she gets on certain programs and lets it. So maybe this whole thing is like a Netflix documentary, like a new spin on Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde.
And here's the thing, it wasn't even personal. Gutfeld and Kelly didn't come for Crockett's wig. They came for the hollow, influencer-style activism that turns every hearing into a BuzzFeed headline. 29 times Jasmine Crockett eyeballed her way to justice. If she spent half as much time writing legislation as she does curating camera angles, she might actually pass something more meaningful than a tweet dressed up as a committee speech. Let's talk results, the thing politicians are supposed to deliver. Gutfeld, master of dry obliteration, laid it out plainly. Jasmine Crockett's resume reads like someone Googled how to sound woke and stopped after step 1. No major bills. No standout initiatives. Just high drama, higher volume, and a fog of self-importance. Crockett's idea of change is getting retweeted by someone with a ring light and a verified badge. Then Megyn Kelly stepped in, cutting through the spectacle like a chainsaw through a butter sculpture. When you strip away the flair, Crockett's political career isn't about public service, it's about personal branding. A PR campaign with delusions of grandeur, dressed in power suits, and TikTok sass, masquerading as leadership. And voters are starting to notice.
She is going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
You are going to be so glad she
Keep
popped
her
up
around.
on the scene.
That's going to make up for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We're going to get a segment a day from her.
You ever watch someone dodge accountability by giving a TED Talk about their feelings? That's Jasmine Crockett in a nutshell. I feel attacked isn't a policy stance. I feel disrespected doesn't pave roads or fix schools. But it does generate likes, shares, and just enough outrage to keep the cameras rolling, which, let's be real, is exactly the point. Greg Gutfeld summed it up perfectly. Crockett's political engagement is like microwaving a frozen dinner and calling it home cooking. All heat, no flavor, and you're still hungry when it's over. She assembles platitudes like IKEA furniture, fast, cheap, and guaranteed to collapse under pressure. Her whole strategy is volume more noise than nuance. When in doubt, yell. When challenged, flail. When wrong, blame the air for being hostile. And yet somehow, she sees herself as Rosa Parks with a ring light. Spoiler, Rosa Parks didn't livestream her activism in portrait mode. Megyn didn't need to raise her voice. She just pointed on Crockett's talking points evaporated faster than a campaign promise after Election Day. It's almost poetic. A walking contradiction who demands justice without doing homework. Claims oppression while flashing a press badge. Condemns ignorance while wearing it like a designer pin.
If you're going to talk about black history, at least know it. This is, at least know it, okay? But it goes back to, that was 45 seconds of some of the, like, Kamala, you good right now. That was some of the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumbass. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation?
Crockett's political weapon of choice, the stare. Yes, that stare, the one she deploys when she's fresh out of arguments but still trying to project some kind of secret wisdom. Like a magic 8-ball filled with sass instead of answers. Unfortunately, for her, Greg and Megyn don't play that game. They've seen it before. It's not strength, it's a stall tactic in a pantsuit, dressed up as defiance. And the takedown was so thorough, it didn't even require a rebuttal. Crockett's silence wasn't golden, it was involuntary. There's a particular kind of public collapse that happens when someone runs out of spin, mid-sentence, and suddenly realizes the applause isn't coming. Let's not pretend this was an off day. This wasn't a rare misstep, it was the blueprint. Crockett's entire congressional career, thus far, has been a masterclass in loud wrongness. She doesn't walk into rooms to contribute, she arrives like it's open mic night at a slam poetry cafe, thinking Congress is her personal stage. Meanwhile, in reality where constituents expect results, not TikTok tantrums, Gutfeld and Kelly delivered more than a roasting. It was a public service announcement disguised as political theater, a necessary reset. Like someone finally asking, hey, can we stop pretending vibes equal vision? Because, let's be honest, Crockett isn't representing the people. She's farming followers. And you'd think after being turned into a meme by two of the sharpest tongues in political commentary, she might lay low, reflect, swap the sass for a little substance. But no. She likely tripled down with a statement, typed in emojis, filmed from the back seat of a Tesla, Starbucks in one hand and a misquote of Malcolm X in the other. Let's take a moment to appreciate the full sweep of the carnage. Gutfeld, in his signature, I've seen it all, and I'm bored tone, peeled Crockett like a banana and served the truth raw. If your entire strategy is performative outrage, you're not a politician, you're a YouTube reaction channel in a blazer. And Megyn Kelly, she didn't just dismantle Crockett's argument, she audited her entire political identity. It was like watching someone get roasted in Latin, still understand every word. That's the beauty of a takedown, fueled by intellect, not volume. Crockett wasn't prepared for a mental chess match. She came armed for a slap fight. And here's the punchline. She still thinks she won. Like a Survivor contestant voted out first, insisting they played a strong social game. No, sweetheart. You didn't play. You got played.